Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. Well, today is going to unfortunately give us another risk of significant severe weather. That is the bad news. The good news is today looks to be the last day of significant severe weather for the foreseeable future. We just got to get past today. Luckily, yesterday's severe weather event didn't unfold as bad as it could have. We had a lot of nasty weather. We had a few tornadoes out there, but the storm mode went what we call linear pretty quick, and that promoted more of a damaging wind threat rather than widespread tornadoes. So that's good. Let's hope that today is the same exact way. So that's what we're here to discuss. We'll get very detailed on today's severe weather threat. We'll go over the latest from the Storm Prediction Center first, and then we'll give you a state-by-state breakdown of how this could unfold throughout the afternoon to the evening hours, all the way throughout the overnight period for every single state, highlighting the severe weather threats for today. We'll speak on some severe parameters, and then we'll give you an outlook for the rest of the country as far as your forecast for today. And then we'll spend some time at the very end of the video, just a little bit of time on what's to come pattern-wise, and we'll discuss that in a lot more detail after we get past today and the severe weather to come. We'll be able to focus a lot more detail on that. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray over or we can pray over, please put it in the comments below so we can do that. We certainly have a lot of people hurting from all the severe weather over the last several days, and we are praying for everybody that's been impacted by this severe weather, and praying that today just really doesn't unfold the way that it could. So stay tuned towards the very end of the video if you want to join us with a Bible devotion also. So let's get rocking and rolling. This is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. We have an enhanced risk that goes all the way up to the Indiana, Kentucky border. Includes a lot of Kentucky, central, and all of the southern areas of the state of Kentucky. Includes middle to portions of eastern Tennessee, all of western Tennessee, goes all the way down to northwestern areas of Georgia, all of northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, and portions of extreme southern Illinois, the boot of Missouri, and also eastern Arkansas. Cities: Memphis, Nashville, Tupelo, down to Birmingham, Huntsville, up to Lexington, Bowling Green, Knoxville, Paducah, up to Louisville. You guys are included in this enhanced risk area. Slight risk is around it. Goes all the way up into the Midwest, all the way down to Louisiana, all the way into the Western Carolinas. So what's driving this for today? This is the tornado outlook. And I do just want to reiterate, this information could change. But I don't anticipate an upgrade to a moderate risk with this today, but who knows? It's happened before after me saying that. So yellow area, that is a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. The black outline area, which is embedded in this yellow 10% area, is a 10% risk of a strong EF2 or higher tornado, which includes Memphis, Tupelo, Huntsville, Florence, Jackson, Nashville, the Bowling Green, and all the cities and towns in between. The brown area, that is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. Places like Atlanta included in this, down to Jackson, Meridian, Vicksburg, all the way up into areas of Illinois and Indiana. And I know I'm cutting off Illinois and Indiana. I'm going to show you a separate panel for you folks here in a second. But I want to note there is a little 2% risk of a tornado that shoots through areas of the Carolinas all the way to the coastline. So we do have to watch for some of these storms that could form in these areas for this afternoon that could have a little bit of a spin to them. But the wind outlook, pink area, guys, that is a 45% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. In that pink region, southern Kentucky through middle and east central Tennessee, all the way down to northern areas of Alabama, very small section of northeast Mississippi included into this. So wild stuff. Red area, that is a 30% risk of damaging winds, and then the yellow area is a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. The hail threat has went up for a relatively small area along the Mississippi River, west and east of it. But that red area, which does include Memphis up to Dyersburg, it does include, say, Jonesboro, Arkansas, and then the boot of Missouri, and extreme southern Illinois and western Kentucky. 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger, but also a 10% risk of significant sized hail of 2 inch in diameter or larger. The yellow area is a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And I don't want to ignore my folks up here in Illinois and Indiana. A slight risk does get all the way up to north of Peoria, Bloomington, Indianapolis, all the way up to Cincinnati. And the tornado threat does pretty much include that entire slight risk area. So there's going to be some storms all the way up into central Illinois and Indiana today that could produce a tornado. And this is the wind outlook in this area. 15% risk of damaging winds, and this is the hail outlook. So 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So I know that the last couple panels cut you guys off, so I want to show some love to my folks in Illinois and Indiana with this. Now let's give us a state-by-state breakdown. This is starting off this morning, 8 a.m. We already have some action potentially rolling through northern parishes of Louisiana here, but we start to take it to about midday. Could have additional storm activity developing in central Louisiana, and then we start to get to about 4 p.m. This is where we could have some severe storms popping up, and I mean they could pop up even in southeast Texas, but northern areas of Louisiana up towards Monroe, you see these circles coming off some of these storms as they're heading towards the Mississippi border here. This is where we could have more intense updrafts, potentially rotating updrafts. These storms could produce tornadoes, guys. 5 p.m., this is 6 p.m. Storms really moving through the central areas of the state here, and they could be intense. Not as much motion with this. But Alexandria, for example, 6, 7 o'clock, I mean, this particular run of the HRRR model has a pretty nasty storm rumbling through your area. If you see any movement behind me, it's just my cat. It's Rocket. He's chilling with me. This morning I can hear him, so he's probably moving around behind me. But we get to about 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11, midnight tonight, and we get after midnight, and things should be pretty much just dandy after that. So we move up to Arkansas. Listen, I think we got to watch eastern Arkansas today. I think the severe weather chances have increased, but we got a line of storms working its way through the area right now. And as we get to about midday, could have a storm fire up in southern Arkansas. Might not. Remember, this is just simulated model, guys. This isn't going to always tell us exactly what's going to happen, but does show a few supercells trying to form pretty early tomorrow afternoon down here in the southeastern areas of the state. And then this is what I'm talking about. I mean, this is 3, 4, 5 o'clock. We could have some intense, strong to severe storms that form in the eastern counties of Arkansas before they cross over the Mississippi. And I really think that these could produce some very large hail, and damaging winds, of course, but there's tornadoes. There's a tornado threat with these too, folks. I mean, look at this. See the circles coming off these storms? This indicates more intense, potentially rotating updrafts. But, I certainly do think once we get into, around bedtime, things should be fine. I think it's an afternoon thing for the eastern counties of Arkansas, honestly. So after that, I do think things simmer on down. Now, taking it on up to Missouri, starting off around 9 a.m. This is getting into about lunchtime. Watching a little cluster of storms in the northeastern areas of the state. And then we get to about 2 p.m. We don't need any storms in St. Louis. We just had an EF3 tornado go through this area. But we could get some storms mid-afternoon. This is around 3 p.m., so it doesn't show it being very widespread. But around 4 p.m. shows some more intense thunderstorms forming around the St. Louis area. Could get some intense thunderstorms. This is around 6 p.m. It's around the boot of Missouri. You see those storms down there. And then we get to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and that's about it. This particular model run doesn't show a whole lot. I would just watch for extreme eastern and southeastern areas of the state today. And then we drop it on down to Mississippi and Alabama. And we will have some energy surging through really Mississippi throughout the late morning, midday hours. And then we start to get into 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And these are the storms I want to watch in western Mississippi. I do think the tornado threat has increased a bit down here in this area. I think maybe 24, 36, 48 hours ago, I thought it was going to be more so a higher risk in Tennessee and Kentucky. But I do think that this is an area, Mississippi, I want to watch mid-afternoon. I want to watch these storms. I think that these could produce a more of a significant tornado risk. But this is 7 p.m., I wasn't thinking there was going to be a whole lot of storms down there near Jackson, say a couple days ago, but this is around 7 p.m. This afternoon, this evening, and we got some nasty storms hitting Jackson. We got some storms moving into northern areas of Alabama. This is 8 p.m. This is 9 p.m. Cluster of storms south of Jackson and Meridian. This is 10 p.m. A lot of storms up there in the northern half of Alabama. And this is midnight. Could still have some storms around. But I'm telling you, I really want to watch these storms coming out of southeastern Arkansas. This is around 5 p.m. If you live in this area right here along the Mississippi Delta into Mississippi, basically right here where Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi sort of all come close to one another, I want to watch this cluster of supercells here. These could and produce a tornado, very large hail obviously, but these could produce a significant tornado. But up here in Kentucky and Tennessee, we'll have a line of storms sweeping throughout the morning. This is like midday, 12 p.m. Storms moving through Nashville up to Elizabethtown, Bowling Green. Eventually, these storms will try to pick up some intensity throughout the early afternoon hours around Lexington. Unfortunately, they're hitting areas down to southern Kentucky, as you can tell, that just got hit by an EF3, EF4 tornado. But up here to Lexington, we're getting some storms too. These could try to sneak into the Tri-Cities regions of Tennessee, but this is around 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And this is when we can have additional convection that could get going in Kentucky and Tennessee. You see just blobs of storm activity. Nothing looks like a supercell, like that kidney bean look I talk about where it's hooking. But these storms will be rotating. But just because the storm is rotating doesn't mean we're going to get a tornado. But the environment will be favorable for tornadoes in this area. But we get to 8 p.m., we get to 9 p.m., and just scattered convection. I mean, it's really scattered and smothered everywhere. I mean, you got a congealed area of storm activity out here through central Kentucky, down here between Nashville and Cookeville, and this is 10 p.m., this is 11 p.m. I will say, though, these storms here in eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, it could produce widespread damaging winds, 55, 60 miles per hour or higher. I think that we'll get more of a congealed line of storms through this area rather than kind of a splotchy look like this run of the HRRR model was showing. But we'll see. Just if you live in Knoxville up into eastern Kentucky, all of eastern Tennessee, just watch out for a nasty line of storms later this evening. I think that's why they've highlighted a higher damaging wind threat in this area. By the time we get into tomorrow morning, things are calming on down, and we're going to have a much calmer period setting up for the foreseeable future. Thank the good Lord for that. But Indiana, Illinois, another area I want to watch out for, maybe a sneaky higher end tornado risk for today. We started getting to 2 p.m. This is 3 p.m. Clusters of storms up here in the northern half of Illinois. Some scattered rain across Indiana. We got a stronger cell here along the Indiana-Illinois border. But I just want to watch these storms in Illinois and Indiana. I mean, same thing with Kentucky and Tennessee. They're very everywhere, if you will. 5 p.m., we got clusters of storms in western Indiana, clusters of storms up here in northern Illinois. I think Chicago could get some storms today, Peoria up to Rockford. And then we get to 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I do think you'll just be lacking thermodynamics up here. Kinematics will be there, but are you going to have enough moisture at the surface to fuel a tornado threat? But this is 7 p.m. Looks like some nasty storms are moving across western Indiana at this point. We got some storms trying to get down and hit Carbondale, Mount Vernon, Evansville around 8, 9 p.m. And then by the time we get into the late evening hours, we should be about done. And that's about it. Now, I do want to mention Georgia and South Carolina. Them starting around 5 p.m. We'll get to 7, 8, 9. Some scattered pop-up storms are possible. And then Georgia, late evening hours into the midnight time frame. Some storms will begin to impact the northern areas of Georgia. And listen, there's a 10% risk of a tornado in far northwestern areas of Georgia. So, take the severe threat serious later this evening in this area. And then we get to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Storms begin to impact Atlanta probably in the Greenville-Spartanburg area. And how much will this storm activity hold together as it tries to get down to Macon, Augusta, Columbia corridor? I hope we get some rain here in Columbia because it's feast and famine in the southeast right now. All the action is to the west. Seems like when it rains, we get multiple inches of rain, and then it doesn't rain again for 2 weeks. And that's just how it's been all spring here in the southeast. So hopefully some of this at least heavy rain can hold together. We could use it, even though a lot of areas got a lot of rain a couple weeks back. But Starting off around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 p.m., line of storms probably surging through eastern Kentucky, and these will hit the southern half of West Virginia. So if you live in Charleston, Beckley, down to western Virginia, a line of storms will move in around dinner time tonight. How intense will they be? I mean, there is a higher end risk of severe weather up here, but I do want to watch a couple of cells that try to form at sort of the foothills, the triad of North Carolina. I mean, you see an intense cell here, kind of outside the Winston-Salem area. We'll have to watch those cells, and then we'll just have to watch for clusters of storms that move over the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina after midnight tonight, and this will likely deliver a pretty wet, stormy start to your Wednesday across areas of Virginia and North Carolina especially. So, updraft Felicity swath. Remember I told you in areas right where Louisiana and Arkansas, Mississippi kind of come together, this is the area I'm the most concerned about with tornadoes today. That's Mitch's call, if you will, on the tornado threat, the highest tornado threat. So you got to watch these cells. You see how you have these highlighted colors here? This indicates more intense updrafts, potentially rotating updrafts in this area. So I do think that we potentially have our highest tornado threat in this area. And if you look at, say, the Storm Prediction Center compared to my thinking in this area, it doesn't extend that 10% risk of a strong tornado that far into this area that I just mentioned, but I really think they'll extend this a little bit deeper to the southwest. That's my call here. We'll see what happens here. So, moving back to this, this is the risk of damaging winds, from the HRRR model output, and just shows clusters of storms. This doesn't always show the best. Sometimes I think about not even showing it anymore because it's so everywhere, and a lot of times it's not accurate. But this is that secondary area I want to watch for a higher tornado threat, sort of in southern Indiana and Illinois today. And of course, this, honestly, Kentucky and Tennessee is right in the heart of the 10% risk of a tornado area. But, it does show these slashes of color indicating more intense rotating updrafts. But I think there'll be a tornado risk obviously here too, but there's just two areas I like more, and especially down there in Mississippi. But anyways, moving forward here, talking about the rest of the country, it's the rest of the Southeast. I know I got some people in Florida saying, man, when is it going to rain again? The rain done stopped again, and I do think a more favorable pattern is coming up over the next several days. But the rest of the Southeast could have some pop-up storms in South Carolina today, but there could be some storms down to the Panhandle of Florida as we're waking up tomorrow morning. I do want to mention that, but outside of that, we pretty much have covered everybody else. The Northeast, this system will begin to move into the area. We have to watch that line of storms in West Virginia. I know I didn't mention Ohio much, but there could be a line of storms in the southern counties of Ohio for this afternoon. So just be mindful for that. Not a super high severe weather threat, but more so just rain up in the northern sections of Ohio. And then some rain will make it all the way into PA, western Maryland late tonight. And then as we're getting into tomorrow morning, just a washout that you're waking up to in the DC, Baltimore, eventually getting into the Philadelphia area, the Tidewater, Delmarva. You're waking up to a lot of heavy rain for tomorrow. Down here in the south central U.S., we've already talked about Arkansas, Louisiana, but everybody else is quiet. A nice, beautiful day to clean up after a multi-day stretch of severe weather across the southern plains. It'll be dry as a bone. It'll be nice. Enjoy your cleaning up for your Tuesday. If I called today Wednesday at any point, I'm sorry. Now, up here in the north central U.S., the upper low will be spinning around, a lot of cool air. So watch out for a cluster of storms in eastern Iowa, northwestern Indiana. These could do something sneaky here, but this is just more so heavy rainfall getting slung up through Wisconsin. This is for this afternoon. I do want to watch a cold pocket aloft of air. This could switch later this evening, some areas of actually northern Minnesota to a period of snow. It's crazy. It's May 20th, but a lot of heavy rainfall begins to move into lower Michigan this afternoon. This will try to make it into the UP by daybreak tomorrow, but it looks like some sort of cold front or blocking pattern really prevents this moisture from getting too far north. But waking up tomorrow morning, I mean, just a cold, dreary spring, more so spring-like day rather than summer. So Conditions out west, a little bit of energy shooting across the northern Rockies. Outside of that, not a whole lot to speak on, guys. Southwest continues to be quiet. Temperatures, it's cooler in the northeast. It's always hard to completely shake winter in the northeast and the Great Lakes region. But we get down to PA, mid-Atlantic, 60s and 70s, southeast, 70s, 80s, and 90s, depending on location, and cloud cover and rain. And then we look in the upper Midwest and the northern plains. I mean, it's going to be a cool day, 40s. There'll be a temperature boundary setting up somewhere in Kansas and Nebraska where it goes from cool to pretty warm. And Southwest is heating back up. And yeah, so I do want to speak on the pattern to come. I'm not going to get deep into this at all. I'm honestly just going to show you the Climate Prediction Center outlook. This is the outlook for temperatures as far as the 25th and the 29th of May. And I know I haven't showed you guys this in a long time. Since back in the winter, I was showing you guys this every single morning. But you see the blue, that's for below average temperatures. And then the warmer colors, the orange, stuff like that, that's for chances of above average temperatures. So we'll keep this simple. If you live in the blue area, there is a chance of below average temperatures in that time frame between the 25th and the 29th. The bluer the colors, the higher the percentage, the higher percentage chance for below average temperatures. So it looks like we got a cooler pattern setting up for the back half of May, the last at least 7 to as much as 10 days of May. Below average temperature is going to dominate the central to eastern portions of the U.S. And, even looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us all the way into the first couple days of June, below average temperatures, just a persistent pattern setting up that's just going to keep cooler air in this area. And I'm going to speak more on this as we get into tomorrow morning's video and what's driving all this. But precipitation, that 6 to 10 day outlook, a lot of rain potentially could happen in certain areas. And the good news is Florida is starting to show up with above average precipitation chances. But, if you live in that darker shade of green, folks, that's like a 50 to 60% chance of precipitation being above normal. And even looking at the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, same pattern looks to be sticking in place. So we'll have to see what happens with this. We are still going to get days of severe weather. It's not like it's going to cut off dramatically. But I do think we'll get at least a few to several day break of significant severe weather chances. Could uptick sometime in the kind of medium term future. But just speaking in the Word a little bit with our Bible devotion this morning. This morning we're in Matthew chapter 19, verse 26. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are impossible." So I'll keep this pretty short, guys. I encourage you folks, and I'm speaking to myself too. I'm always speaking to myself when I do these Bible devotions, but keep the faith in God. He's going to pull you through. He can pull you through any type of situation, even the worst of the ones that just feel like you're never going to get out of, whether you're suffering with mental health, it's a physical sickness. You're literally stuck, like physically in a situation where you're trying to stay alive. Anything. He's God. He can do anything, and he works in mysterious ways. I don't have the best example of that, honestly. A lot of times I like to apply scripture to my own life to try to, I guess, get off what I'm trying to say a little bit more, or a little bit better, if you will. But he's worked in my life, and he has brought, what I can say is he's brought so much goodness out of so many valleys, so many bad situations in my life. I've grown so much from some of the darker times in my life. And I know that's not 100% what scripture is saying right here, but I think it applies to it. But just allow him to connect the dots in your life, and that situation in your life that just seems impossible. And maybe it is impossible. God will provide an end result to it that makes it all come together and makes the impossible what it is, and that is reality. So hope that makes sense. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. Hopefully today's severe weather threat is not that bad, and we can make a video tomorrow morning and say, well, we're finally done. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you again soon.